There are Filipinos who work overseas and send money home for many years. But when they finally return, their children have already learned how to live without them around. Some work abroad for more than 10 years, yet never once have a room of their own, a door they could lock with their own key. And some earn more money than they ever imagined, but have less time than ever for their own lives. People often ask, where do Filipinos earn the most money? But the question that rarely gets asked is, what did each peso take away? This video is not about finding the best country. There is no place that is right for everyone. This video simply tells the stories of places where Filipinos can earn more than they would back home, and the very different prices they pay for that choice. If these stories sound familiar, stay until the end. And if your experience has been different, the comments are always open. Number 10. Saudi Arabia. For many Filipino families, short phone calls through a screen have become routine. Not because they don't want to talk longer, but because time and work schedules don't allow it. Long absences slowly turn into something normal, even before anyone finds the words to name them. Saudi Arabia is one of the places many Filipinos choose when they decide to work abroad. Not because of big dreams, but because of practicality. Jobs are available, contracts are clear, and income comes regularly. Mark, a Filipino construction worker, chose Saudi for exactly these reasons. His family back home needed support, and he was the one who carried that responsibility. Life in Saudi follows a very fixed rhythm. Early mornings at work, evenings back at the labor housing. Day after day, the routine barely changes. There aren't many choices beyond working and resting, just enough to prepare for the next shift. Income in Saudi is not especially high compared to developed countries, but it is stable. Monthly earnings usually range from 60,000 to 75,000 peso. Because living costs are low, a good portion can be saved. Each month, Mark sends home around 30,000 to 40,000 peso. That money pays for his children's school fees, his parents' medicine, and daily household needs. Back home, these remittances are the clearest proof of sacrifice made far away. But the real cost is not written on a payslip. Personal freedom is limited. Social life shrinks to a small circle of people in the same situation. Important family moments are often attended through a brief phone call, sometimes so rushed that not everything can be said. As the years pass, savings may grow, but the distance grows with them. For many Filipinos, Saudi Arabia is a place where they accept a closed, quiet life for a period of time in order to keep their family stable. And only later does the question surface: was the money earned enough to make up for the years of absence? Number 9. United Arab Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, cities rarely sleep. When a shift ends, the lights stay on, and life keeps moving. For many Filipinos, the first feeling upon arriving is that everything moves too fast. Fast enough that, if you're not careful, a whole month can pass without you noticing. In hotels, restaurants, and service centers, work flows non-stop throughout the day. Co-workers call each other by name, while rotating shifts, swapping schedules, and taking extra hours. Joel works in Dubai's service industry, used to standing all day and finishing his shift after the city lights come on. His packed schedule leaves very little room for rest. Income in the UAE is often considered good. Monthly earnings can range from 70,000 to 90,000 peso, depending on position and hours worked. But this comes with high living costs. Rent, food, transportation, and small daily expenses add up quickly. After everything is deducted, The amount left to send home usually falls around 25,000 to 35,000 peso. What surprises many people is not how much they earn, but how much they manage to keep. The city is always offering ways to spend money. After work, it's easy to get pulled into the surrounding lifestyle, even if it's just a few meals out or rare social gatherings. Money comes fast, but it also leaves just as fast. After a few years, many realize they've been working non-stop, yet their long-term plans are still unclear, not because they failed, but because life simply kept moving from one shift to the next. For Filipinos, the United Arab Emirates doesn't make them poorer, but it tests their ability to hold on to what they've earned. Not just money, but time, direction, and a sense of where their life is going. Number 8. Qatar. In Qatar, there are evenings that pass without a single conversation. After work, the door closes and the silence stretches until morning. Not because of sadness, but because life here simply moves this way. Qatar isn't a place many Filipinos mention when talking about overseas dreams. But for those looking for certainty, it's a familiar choice. Clear jobs, a safe environment, very little unpredictability. Ramon, a Filipino technical worker, came to Qatar for a simple reason: a stable job that would allow him to stay long-term. Daily life moves at a slow, steady pace. Work in the morning, back to the labor housing in the evening. Everything is orderly and sufficient, not abundant, but never lacking. After work, there aren't many places to go, so most evenings are spent resting and calling home. Income in Qatar isn't especially high compared to some other countries, but living costs are well controlled. Each month, Ramon sends around 30,000 peso back to the Philippines to cover family expenses. The money arrives regularly, and the job carries little risk. For families back home, that consistency matters more than earning fast money. But stability comes with a sense of separation. Social life is limited. Relationships often revolve only around work. There are days that pass with very few conversations beyond what's necessary. When there's no noise to cover it, loneliness becomes very clear. For many Filipinos, Qatar isn't a place to dream big. It's a place to keep life safe for a period of time. And the question only comes later: how long does safety last before it starts to feel like emptiness? When leaving the Middle East, the story is no longer about silence or stability. From here on, the cost is no longer distance or loneliness, but the daily pressure to adapt within systems that leave little room for mistakes. Number 7. Japan. In Japan, everything runs on precise timing. Shifts begin exactly on schedule, tasks are clearly defined, and everyone knows their role. There's no need for constant reminders. Doing things right has become habit. For many Filipinos, the first feeling at work isn't exhaustion, but the need to stay focused at all times. In factories and care facilities, work repeats daily with very high standards of accuracy. Even small mistakes are easily noticed. On the shift board at the workplace, June's name appears consistently, week after week. Life follows work schedules and rules that rarely change. Income in Japan doesn't come from speed, but from consistency. Monthly earnings usually range from 50,000 to 65,000 peso, enough to cover living expenses and send money home. After costs, the amount sent back to the Philippines is often around 25,000 to 30,000 peso. Not high, but stable. For families back home, that stability brings more peace of mind than income that rises and falls. But maintaining this stability requires long-term mental pressure. Language barriers cultural differences, and a strict work environment make many feel they must constantly try harder than usual. There are days when everything is done correctly, yet the feeling of not being enough still lingers. Japan is not comfortable in the sense of ease. It's a place that shapes people through discipline and patience. For Filipinos, Japan offers steady income and clear work skills. But in return, it demands the ability to always be right for a very long time. And not everyone wants to or can endure that. Number 6. South Korea. Some mornings begin with back pain that never fully faded from the day before. On the production line, everyone still takes their position on time. Few questions are asked. Here, the most important thing is to finish the shift. South Korea is where many Filipinos come to work at high intensity. Factories, farms, and workshops operate almost without pause. Long shifts and overtime are normal. In that rhythm, conversations are brief, about hours, shifts, and tomorrow's schedule. On the shift board, Daniel's name appears constantly, almost every day. Income is the biggest reason many accept this pace. Pay increases with hours worked, and the more overtime, the higher the earnings. After living expenses, Daniel can send around 35,000 to 45,000 peso back to the Philippines each month. For families at home, that amount is significant. It arrives quickly, consistently, and solves many problems in a short time. But the cost doesn't show up immediately. At first, it's just tiredness. Then the aches linger. Rare days off are often spent catching up on sleep. The body has to keep up with the machines, and slowing down brings instant pressure. Not everyone lasts long, but many push through because the money keeps increasing. South Korea doesn't promise an easy life. It offers a chance to earn quickly through real physical labor. But in exchange, health is worn down over time. Some return home with savings in hand, but with bodies that are no longer the same. For Filipinos, South Korea is a clear choice. Work harder to earn faster. And the question only appears after enough time has passed, whether the money earned was enough to make up for what the body has lost. Some places take health away very quickly, and there are also places that don't exhaust you, but slowly shrink your life, day by day, year by year. Number 5. Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, there are rooms where, at night, there's only enough space for a single bed. When you lie down, everything else has to be pushed aside just to leave a narrow path to walk. Life begins and ends inside a space like this, day after day. Many Filipinos here work inside other people's homes, domestic work, elderly care, living by the employer's schedule. Personal time is limited. Personal space is almost non-existent. Work days stretch from morning to night, and days off, if they come, are often just a few hours outside before returning again. During rare community gatherings, Maria's name often comes up when people talk about swapping shifts or asking for a weekend off. Income in Hong Kong is considered stable. Monthly earnings usually range from 55,000 to 65,000 peso, but with high living costs and many fixed expenses, the amount sent back to the Philippines often drops to around 25,000 to 30,000 peso. Not low, but very hard to increase. Here, income has a clear ceiling, no matter how long you stay. What keeps many people here is distance, or rather, the lack of it. Hong Kong is close to the Philippines. Going home doesn't feel impossibly far. That sense of closeness helps people endure the cramped living conditions and lack of privacy. But that same familiarity also keeps many staying longer than they originally planned. After years of living inside someone else's space, the line between work and personal life slowly fades. Days pass evenly, safely, but with very little change. For Filipinos, Hong Kong offers stable income and proximity to home. But the question only comes later. Is this stability a support or a small frame that slowly shrinks one's life? Number 4. Singapore. Mornings in Singapore often begin by opening a work schedule. Time slots are filled, tasks already assigned. On the screen, numbers appear clearly. Progress, targets, deadlines, no reminders are needed. Here, everything has already been measured. In hospitals, tech offices, and service industries, the pace is fast and precise. Emails arrive non-stop. Shifts follow one after another. Work gets done by the book, on time. In a short discussion about scheduling, the name Alex comes up when assigning the next shift. In this environment, professionalism isn't an advantage. It's the baseline. What draws many Filipinos to Singapore is the chance to work within a clear, well-structured system. Income here is considered high. Monthly earnings usually range from 80,000 to 100,000 peso. But living costs are calculated just as tightly. Rent, transportation, and food are all expensive. After fixed expenses, the remaining savings are often much smaller than the headline number suggests. Living in Singapore means getting used to standards, not just at work, but in daily life. Time is broken into segments. Efficiency is constantly measured. Life runs smoothly, with few errors, but rarely leaves space to slow down. For Filipinos, Singapore offers a strong work environment and reliable income. But the cost appears elsewhere. When everything is reduced to metrics, people begin to wonder, are they living to meet KPIs or using KPIs to serve their life? Number 3. Australia. In Australia, the workday usually begins with clocking in. Start times and end times are recorded clearly. Work a certain number of hours. Get paid for exactly those hours. No negotiations, no exceptions. For many Filipinos, the first feeling is that everything is fair. On construction sites, in restaurants, and across the service industry, hourly pay is transparent. No one is forced to work overtime without consent, but no one is favored if they haven't done the hours. On the timesheets posted at work sites, Filipino names appear week after week. The work can be tough, but the rules are clear. What surprises many is that fairness doesn't mean ease. To stay long-term in Australia, you move step by step. More study, certification exams, accumulated experience. There are no shortcuts, no quick wins. Everything is built slowly over time, and those who give up halfway simply exit the system. Income in Australia is considered high. With clear hourly wages, monthly earnings can reach around 120,000 to 150,000 peso, depending on the job and hours worked. But taxes and living costs are also high. After mandatory deductions, what remains doesn't feel as complete as the initial figure many expect. Australia doesn't promise fast wealth. It offers a fair system where people advance on their own strength, but that fairness also raises a very direct question. Do you have the endurance to walk a long road when no one opens shortcuts for you along the way? Number 2. Canada. In Canada, mornings for many Filipino families begin with taking their children to school. The weather is cold, the distances are long, and everything moves more slowly than before. Yet in those quiet moments, many life decisions are quietly reaffirmed, day after day. The early stage is not easy. Work often starts below one's actual experience level. Shifts end on time, but evenings are spent studying, completing paperwork, and meeting requirements that are still missing. In parent meetings and school forms sent home, the name Anna appears regularly as the legal guardian. These small responsibilities slowly become the center of a new life. Income in the beginning is modest. Monthly earnings usually range from 60,000 to 80,000 peso, just enough to cover basic living expenses. After rent, transportation, and food, there is almost nothing left. Life becomes simple and carefully calculated. For many Filipinos, this is the most challenging phase. What makes them stay is not money. Canada offers a clear pathway. Children grow up in a stable education system. Work opportunities can improve over time for those who persist. After a few years, once experience and skills are recognized, income can rise significantly, but reaching that stage requires patience. A lot of it. The price of Canada is speed. Everything takes time, and results do not come quickly. But for many Filipino families, that slowness is a conscious choice. The question is no longer how much can be earned in the first year, but whether one is willing to move slowly today so their children can walk a wider road tomorrow. If Canada is chosen for the long future, then the final country on this list is where everything reaches its highest level: opportunity, income, and the cost one must carry alone. Number 1. United States. In the United States, many days begin before sunrise. One shift ends while another is already waiting. Meals are often rushed, squeezed between work schedules. Life here does not allow slowing down for long, because everything is measured in time and performance. In hospitals, technology companies, and high-skilled professions, pressure comes not only from the job, but from personal responsibility. Schedules are packed, shifts are long, and most expenses must be handled independently. On shift boards, Filipino names appear regularly, attached to roles that demand intense focus and leave little room for mistakes. Income is the reason many see the United States as the final destination. Monthly earnings can reach around 150,000 to over 200,000 peso, depending on the field and experience. But that money does not come easily. Rent, insurance, healthcare, taxes, everything must be paid out of pocket. After deductions, what remains is always tied to the pressure of maintaining the same pace of work. The biggest difference in the United States is the absence of a safety buffer. No one guarantees stability if you slow down. Every decision connects directly to the outcome. Perform well, and progress can be fast. Miss a step, and everything can turn around just as quickly. The United States does not sell easy dreams. It offers big opportunities, high income, and the chance to go far. But the cost is just as clear: time, energy, and peace of mind in daily life. For Filipinos, this is the peak of the overseas money journey, and also the point where each person must ask themselves, how far do I want to go, when no one else will answer for the sacrifices I choose to make? There is no country on this list that is the best for all Filipinos. Each place offers a way to earn and demands a different price in return: time, health, family, or inner peace. What matters is not how much you earn, but what you are trading for this stage of your life. If these stories feel familiar, or if you see yourself somewhere in them, share your perspective in the comments. A like and a subscription help stories like these continue, told more honestly, more closely, and more in line with the real lives many Filipinos are living today.